Well, welcome. Today we have Hunkydory Stained Glass Wonderful Wildlife, and we've got lots of things going on with Heidi has created projects to show you. In fact, this is one, and I thought it would be fun to share that. So this opens up kind of a modified gatefold, and look at that. Very fun. Well, this is just one of the things we have to share. Won't you please come play with us? Before we get into the projects, let me just show you what the product is, okay? So we have these little square book of stained glass. Now these are just under 5 by 5. There are 120 pages. This is a thick little puppy, and I'll show you all of the art that's in it after we go through this. And we also have the Stained Glass Wonderful Wildlife Topper Collection. Now this has got 8 sheets in it. That's going to make at least 16 cards. In fact, let me show you. So here's some of the die cuts. They are foiled, this time in a black, so it's not quite shiny in your face, but it truly is foiled. We have another one. These two were not used by Heidi. And then, of course, so here is one that was used. You'll be seeing that. In fact, that's on the card I just showed you. And here is another. That's the one, that's the first. So we've got sheep and chickens and horses and cattle. And then there's also coordinating cardstock, so printed cardstock, and then there's also some that also has that black foiling on it. So just beautiful, as you can see. Okay, and there's even a couple more that I'll be sharing with you as we get into the projects. And then we have a Mary collection, and I love that Hunkydory does this. There are 16 sheets. You're going to get 2 each of 8 colors, and let me just show you a few of them. Right here, so we've got gold, we've got a purple, blue, a pink, and a deeper blue. We also have a lime. I'll be showing you that shortly. And I think there might even be a couple more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think there's a couple more. So anyway, there are 8, and you get 2 of each. So I think while we're here, let me just show you what else is in the stained glass. So as I said, this is a 5 by 5 collection, and there are 120 pages, but there are 20 different designs. So you can see the seal. That's one. And oh goodness, sorry, I didn't know they were upside down. Let me get these squared away for you. Pig, pretty. Just the stained glass look is a beautiful look, as I'm sure you know, and just gorgeous. So these have all of those elements that you saw in the die cuts, but in a different format, and then additional ones. There you go, beautiful. And there's a few more, which I'll be showing you in the project. So just kind of let you see what is in this collection. So we're going to start with this card. And this is a 5 by 5 card. And as you can see, as I open this up, the card, whoops, let me remove that. The card was made out of the lime Mary cardstock. So let me show you that. So what Heidi did is she took a piece that's going to be 5 inches by 10 inches. So trim that out and then score it in the middle, and then you will have your square card. And so that becomes also the card base, as you can see. Now she also took the frog cutout, or excuse me, the frog little book, this one. And this is pretty large because she wanted to do a double mat, and I'm hoping that you can see here that there is the lime green and then there is a teal, so kind of sometimes hard to see on camera. Let me show you the bigger pieces. Okay, so this is the card and this is the mat, so it is that kind of blue color. And so she took this piece and trimmed it back, took all the black out. Okay, so trim that out and then matted that onto the blue-looking teal Mary, and then it has about 1/8 of an inch border, and then taped that to the front of her card. Then she took other pieces. Now you get, let me see, I think it's 6 of each piece. Yes, you get 6 of them, so there's multiple layers, and that's exactly what she did. So she first cut out the whole frog and then foam taped that on top of the matching art. And then she foam taped this piece, so it's the top layer of the frog, and foam taped that in place. Then she added some jewel borders. Now the 3 that are called for in the materials list are gold, lime, and blue. And so she put them on the art that's the same color. So she elected to do the gold in the corners. Let's see. There you go. I think you can see that. And the gold was down here, but the blue was here, and then the green was on the leaves. So just place it wherever you like. Oh, you can also see that eye going. Doesn't that look good? And that's with the gold one. Okay, so now I'm going to open this up. And she used some acetate on the inside. So this is interesting. But before we do that, well, we want to talk about the acetate, but we also want to talk about the papers that are used. So to begin with the acetate. So as I said, this card is 5 by 5. So she cut a piece of acetate that was 5 by 5.5. And that's what I have here. And then she took the scoreboard and scored a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to make sure that I'm scoring my 5.5 inch piece. I'm going to pull this off, and I'm just going to score 1/2 inch. Okay, and then that is going to be the flap that is going to hold my acetate to the card. So you can see the score. Hopefully you can see the score right there. And so you would do your acetate, and the acetate that she used is the heat-resistant acetate. And Heidi tells me she likes to use this because it's so sturdy. It's a very substantial acetate. So that's what she has used here. So you're going to take this, you're going to put the extra sticky tape. That is the tape that has the red liner that I'm looking for on my table and I'm not finding, but okay. Going to place that there. Now, this is a 1/2 inch little flap. If you are using 1/4 inch extra sticky tape, just place that right along the score line because that's where the tugging is going to happen. So you would place that right there, fold this back, and then attach it to the inside of the card. Now that's before any paper is added, okay? So it's going to lift up like this, and then you can put your paper. So pretend that this acetate is this blue cardstock, and then you're going to put the cover of the paper. The paper will cover it, and will also cover that the flap that's right there. Okay, so it just makes it really super simple. Now, the paper that she elected to use comes from probably fittingly Hot Off the Presses Stained Glass Collection. And you can kind of see it right here. These are thumbnails of the papers. This kind of gold color, and it has that border of diamonds down below. And our little frog is going to rest right on that. So she has trimmed that to fit and taped it in place over the acetate. And then again, she took one of the frogs, just trimmed it out and put him here. And you can see all of those colors of dazzles that are dancing on the frog. And then whenever I think of friendship, I think of you. Those two are cutouts from the stained glass collection. So that's just another benefit of the paper pack. Okay, and that eye is green right there. Now we're going to go to this, and this is another paper from the stained glass, and you can kind of see it right here. It's one of the background pieces. So she cut that to fit the inside of her card, and then she took the ladybug, and it too is going to fit pretty well, but she decided that she just wanted to trim off the black. So she cut that off, glued that in place. Now, because this is a modified easel, and I think when Heidi did this before, we elected to call it an inside easel. I think that was the vote. And so you need to have this on 2 layers of foam tape. That way it's just really going to hold that acetate in place. So our little frog is kind of jumping out of the card. And again, more of the dazzles on all 3 colors on the artwork. So that is our first card, and a very clever adaptation, I think. Okay, we're going to go to our second one. And this too is coming out of the square little book. This guy right here, as the first card was. But this card is using Hunkydory's, they call it 7 by 5 inch cards. I'm sorry, I have to say it's 5 by 7, but that's just me. They're tent cards, which means the fold is up here and the card will actually stand up like that, like a tent, okay? So that's what she has used. Now, again, she needed some papers to go along with this. So let me show you what she has elected to use. And it is right here. This is the Golden Botanical. Now, let me show you the sheet of the little book of. Okay, hand that over here. Okay, so as you can tell, she's going to use that owl. This is a white owl. And but she wanted to put some things behind it. So she elected to kind of duplicate the color tones that are going on. And so she elected to use the Golden Botanical. This is a 6 by 6. And I think it's helpful for you to see these little snapshots of the papers. And she did use this one. You can see that it's got the darker blossoms, the botanicals, top and bottom. Now she did mat that sheet, this again is a 6 by 6, onto the Black Mary. And I don't want to show you Black Mary on top of a black background, but that's what it looks like. And it's very much what the foiling is also. Again, this duller black. So really pretty. So we have our 6 by 6 and we have the matting just at the top and the bottom. Now she's done something else, and you can see that kind of flashing that she has used the Gold Mary, and she used an embossing folder. And this is it. This is the wood texture. And it just does an excellent job of putting that dimension into the Gold Mary. Now, what I like about this is that it gives you a texture without taking away from the focal point, which of course is the owl. So that is going down next. And then she took the owl and took the whole piece, as I said, trimmed off the black, and then foam taped this to the front of the card. Then she took the circular cutting dies. This is the circle and scalloped. And she's just using the ones that are circled, not the scalloped. And let me show you the card. And we'll get in a bit close so you can see the elevation. So there's one here, another one, and another one on top of this. So 1, 2, 3. And so she just took the same image, again you have 6 of them, and positioned the circle where it's going to be creating this owl, so it's all on the same area of the owl, okay? So you've got the first circle, which is the paper, okay? And you just trim that out, and then take the cutting die and use this one, and then this one, and this one. And the sizes of the circles are in the directions. Now the directions are down below. Just click on the card and you'll see them. So you just put them on the matching art and then foam tape those pieces together, as you can see. This in the language of where this was developed in Europe is a pyramid card. So you can kind of see, it doesn't go to a point, but it does stack. So, and I think it's pronounced pyramage, but correct me, I'm sure I'm wrong, but it just is a different look. And it's great to use with the little books because you have so many images. Now, Heidi also used these gold studs. We have them in gold and silver. They're self-adhesive. You can tell she used the bigger ones on the edges and the smaller ones on the center. The Life is Sweet is out of the Golden Botanical. That's one of the cutouts. She's foam taped that at the top. And you know, to create bows, Heidi always uses Hunkydory's bow maker. And she used the blue out of the blue ribbon set. And this is a narrower blue, as you can see, and just zodded it in place right there. Now the inside of her card, there we go. Now here, she again did the same thing in that she used the Black Mary. She covered the inside of her card, so that worked fine. And then she took another piece out of the Golden Botanical, and this one, as you can see, has more colors in it. So let me look right here. I believe it's this piece, so you can see the colors on the edges. And there is another piece of the gold Mary that has been gone through with that wood embossing folder. Then she took another piece of the black eye. So I like this collage look that she's got the black Mary on the background, then she's got the golden botanical, then she's got the wood embossed piece, and then another piece of the black. So we've got that layering, and you see they're all kind of offset toward the left. And then this is the bee, and I think that is back in this whole set of the square little pieces, and it's probably going to be at the bottom, I imagine. Here we go. Just lots of things, and here's our bee. Okay, so once again, she has trimmed it down, but this time she's gone even, there's the black, and then she's gone inside this little frame to get just to the bee. And notice how she placed it. It's kind of going off that right edge. So right along that edge, so that whole piece is going down. Then the bee has been cut out and foam taped on top. And then Every Day is Great with You, well, that comes out of the 6x6 botanical, more of the gold studs. And isn't that lovely? So we have flying things on this card, owls and bees. Nice collection. Okay, now those are the two cards that are using the square little books. Now we're going to get into the toppers. And this one is going to be using this set. So you've got, this is called Pond Life. And you can see the border and all of the die cuts. And here is our card. And Heidi did some different things with this, which is really kind of fun. Now, the Mary that she used is this a kind of bluish, it's almost a blueberry color. So it's very pretty. So we want to set that aside. And then I showed you the die cuts, but this is the cardstock that she used. So obviously you can see it's using this side. Now, she did do something different with her card, as I said in the opening. Normally, a gatefold card, we lay the card out flat, and then we bring each of the edges in to the center, and so they're equal. But this time, she cut this piece to be, I believe that's 1.5 inches. So that's going to leave 3.5 inches over here. So it's a little unequal, but that works for this card. Now, when she goes to do her cardstock, she's going to cut one piece and then trim it down, so that way it will fit nicely. And as you can tell, she is cutting this area of this cardstock, and she did mat it onto that blueberry. And then, of course, she would have that in one piece, and then she would measure off the right-hand side to trim it. And notice that these two pieces get glued so the artwork butts up against each other. So you really see it as one continuous piece of art. So that's nice. Now, obviously, this is going to come from this piece. And you can tell, now this has 3 frames. So there's the circle, you see where my thumb is going? And there's another one, and then the larger one. So she took these two and treated them as though they were one piece. So pop those out, and she foam taped them to the left gatefold, so just right there. And of course placed it in the yellow area because this is all taken care of with lots of fun foliage going in the pond, and it's going to be right there. Thinking of You is one of the die cuts, so she's foamed that up. And she did add, and it is pink jewel dazzles, and I'm not sure that you could really tell that. I'm sure you can see the flash of the dazzles, but that's what she has chosen. She's also put some down here in the lily pads. Okay, so that is our card front. Then on the inside, she had more left of this piece, so obviously she had just cut this probably a little less than 5 by 6.5, so she had this strip, and she cut it to go right here. And then she had some yellow left over up here, so that's going to go on this gate. There is the border on this side with On Your Birthday foam taped. And then on this side, she cut the other part of the border going horizontally. So we've got that border going vertically and horizontally. One of the ovals right on top, some dazzles spread around. Then, so she's used all of this, but then we get to this little guy. Well, he's going to fit perfectly right here. But she did first fill that with that light purple Mary cardstock, and then placed this piece right on top, and then used that outside circle that was left over and circled him. Now, at first look, I bet you thought that was another of the die cuts, but it's just the printed cardstock with that big frame. So nicely done. So the way that this reads is thinking of you on your birthday. Very nice. And again, more of the jewel dazzles all over. So a very clever design, and one I had not seen before. So thank you, Heidi. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you that she did use the orange and peach. Now that may sound like an odd combination, but it works. Orange and peach are the ribbons that are in here. They're not, there's orange / peach. Okay, so two colors, and she did zot one right there above the thinking of you. So that worked nicely. Now our last card is also going to use the toppers, and this is the topper set. So remember that from earlier. And she made a 3D card. Look at that. So I'm going to turn this over, and let me show you what she used, which is this is our picket fence card cutting dies. Now this is the first version. We just released a picket fence number 2. This is number 1, and it will create, well, you can see the picket fence, you can see kind of the grass, and that is exactly what she used. So she got some white cardstock, and with her picket fence, okay, there it is, and I want you to see, I'm going to pull this a little bit. You see how it's dark at the top part of the picket fence? Well, she used, this is, here we go. She used both muddy boots and velvet fawn. So she's going to place her picket fence before attaching anything to it, and use the blending brush, placing this on a craft mat, and kind of putting the velvet fawn at the bottom and then putting the muddy boots at the top. So you can see how that gives a nice definition to that. Then while she had the pieces trimmed out, so as I told you, there are the 2 grass pieces. There we go, right there. So she placed those on the same mat, and then she added, this is sea green and khaki. So khaki at the top, sea green at the bottom. Did the same thing with the second piece, and then she folded them and attached them together, again using the extra sticky tape, that is the red liner tape. It just works so well with anything that is going to move, and certainly this moves. Now the deal with this is it will fold flat to go into an envelope, and it does fit in our 10 envelopes package, so that works nicely. And then notice what she did in choosing which of the die cuts to use. So she took the largest one, she's just using the inside, and put it on the largest area. Then she put the next one on the middle area. And then she did a tiny one of a steer and put it on the front. Happy birthday is right down here, and a little note is right there, and best wishes is up here. So large, medium, small, and that makes sense because how you're seeing them. And then 3 of the greeting cutouts, as you can see. Like I said, it folds flat. Now, where are you going to put your message? Well, you could lay it flat and write it there, or you can turn it over and write on the back of that large die cut. So your choice, whatever you'd like to do. So that really gives you a nice little countryside view and of course it will stand up. So that works nicely. Oh, the ribbon? The ribbon comes from our 1/8 inch ribbon collection. So there's just a lot of colors there and made with the bow maker and zodded in place. Okay, well that's just some ideas that you can use with the stained glass wood wonderful wildlife, as well as the accompanying Mary collection and that very versatile little square book of stained glass wonderful wildlife. All of those. Now they are all together over in the right hand side of your screen in a money saver. We do that to make your shopping easier because so many people just like to get the whole collection, and that just takes care of it in one fell swoop, because you also get a little bit of a discount. As I said before, directions are down below. You can print them off if you would like, and Heidi does that for us. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube, we would love it if you would like us and subscribe. Then head on over to paperwishes.com because that's where you will find these. And I am so happy to tell you that we have about the best prices around for Hunkydory items. We've been working with them for over 15 years. And it's been a very good relationship, and they're very important to us. So it's nice to have all of their goodies. Okay, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank Heidi for just doing a lovely, lovely job on these products. And especially I want to thank you for being part of our Paper Wishes family. And you know, by the way, we have 6 webisodes every single week. So I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Bye-bye.